could have everyone's attention, I'd like to begin the public hearing. It's August 10th. If everyone could please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This is the Appleson public hearing for their accessory dwelling, right? Accessory dwelling.
Yes.
If you would please take attendance and then read the notice.
Absolutely. Clifford Buffo.
Here.
Art Christie. Joanne Cowell.
Here.
John Horn.
Here.
Alan Shiner.
Here.
Sam Spada.
Here.
Vivian Welton. Here. Notice is hereby given that the Town of Shandaken Planning Board will hold a public hearing pursuant to Section 274 and/or 276 of state law and as prescribed by the district schedule of area and bulk regulations of the Shandaken Town Code for the purpose of hearing the following applicant regarding an application for a special use permit submitted by Liz and Peter Appleson for a parcel located on Miller Road in Mount Tremper, New York, further indicated as SBL number 25.1-2-8.420, located in a residential 3-acre zoning district. The applicant would like a special use permit in order to construct an accessory dwelling. The public hearing is scheduled for August 10th, 2022 at 6:45 p.m. at the Shandaken Town Hall, 7209 Route 28, Shandaken, New York. All persons wishing to be heard shall be heard at the date and time of the public hearing. If you have any questions or concerns you would like to address at the meeting and are unable to attend, please email the secretary to the planning board at shandakenbldg@gmail.com. All emails should be received no later than 3 o'clock, the date of the hearing.
Okay, you guys would like to step forward, please? That's fine. They came to us earlier this year and subdivided their parcel, and on their new parcel they would like to build a house and an accessory dwelling, and that's what this public hearing is for. If any neighbors are here to speak in regards to this.
Somebody tell me.
This person a chance to get inside. No? Okay.
Did you get any emails?
I did not.
Did you get any?
I did not.
Does the board have any questions for them regarding this? I think we.
Now, this is the one where they're gonna build both buildings.
Yes, they're going to build. Yes, they're the larger house and then the smaller accessory structure.
And they're gonna build them together.
Yes. Yes.
You are building them together. You're not gonna build the small one first. Yes? Oh, no, oh, okay.
No. Yes together. No.
Yes,
no to
together,
the small one
no
first.
to one. Okay. All right. Anybody have questions?
Nope. Down here. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
On that note, we can close the public hearing.
Yeah. I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Normally we should do a roll call vote for that, but it's okay. I know you were.
No.
We did that.
It was my fault. Sorry.
Yeah, there's nobody here.
You have to work fine, but it's my fault.
It's,
Like, oh,
we still.
it's all my fault.
We still have to go to the regular meeting. That wasn't a vote of approval, that was the opening and closing of the public hearing. We do that, the vote comes at the regular meeting, which is in 5 minutes.
So for what we just did, if somebody says all in favor, and then we can say all opposed, and then if nobody's opposed, wouldn't that stand? Or any abstentions?
It's only that if somebody says no, then they have to explain. That's why the roll call would be. So they're all in agreement with something big.
That makes sense.
Sunburn on my face. Because I had a glass of wine. So they have a glass of wine in my face.
Look, it's all red.
I can feel Paul said, you should drink it. I said, I need to drink it. Make dinner. I'll have it with dinner. That's a good talk. What's that? I don't know. What can we do with him? I figured the place was supposed to be over.
No, he wants to put it in the key.
There's the road.
Beliefs.
I got the bathroom, office, kitchen. No, here.
Do you hear that, Ellen? That feedback? Does anybody else hear that?
Yeah.
You got, it's not just me, right?
I didn't hear it. Look at this. New York Irish Jack Enterprise. See, I got up, that's made that happen. Made me get up. Now I'm gonna be bitter.
Into the universe.
Bitter. Did you bring this one? Yeah, I mean, it's there.
Oh, yeah.
He made them copies.
Of this? Yeah.
So the longest 5 minutes ever.
I got it.
All right, 7 o'clock. We'll now begin the regular monthly meeting, August 10th, 2022. First order of business is Phoenicia Wellness. Mr. Ullman.
Thank you very much. And they have come tonight is just to present to you the book on science and we'll be giving you all of the visuals of the floor plans. 7 different design pictures that we're looking at, and then we have a committee will kind of make a decision whether it's that one or one of the other ones that we're looking at. And then next year, we're looking at potentially doing a mural on the side of the building, reflecting our mountains and the Esopus. I think it would add a nice personality to it, and that would be next year.
When you say 7 different designs, what type of things are you looking at? So when you say 7 different designs, what type of things?
Different colors, type of schemes, the difference on the, getting input now from an architect on just on the brick, what flexibility we can do, whether or not what we want to do with the metal, because the metal doors.
So it's a color and material
Yeah,
palette,
yes, exactly.
not
Yeah.
design.
No, not design,
Plans,
excuse me,
okay.
color presentation to make it lively, really very attractive. And then we're really planning on opening in November, and then trying to really make a presentation for Christmas.
This year.
Yes, this year, with lighting, and really try to blend in with the Phoenicia. You know, just to have fun, and that would be Phoenicia Business Association and what we normally have done at Christmas. So really, it's been fun. It's exciting, and we're ready to go. And after tonight, we will have had communication all week with the landlord. So we will hope to wrap everything up and start our getting into the building and cleaning up and so on next week.
This is not exactly what you're going to do with these lights, are they? The lights on the
No.
sign.
No, you know, I don't know what we would have to do from an electrical.
Actually, you would have to put a light above the sign,
Yeah,
down, facing the sign. You can't have lights going up
okay, we can do
because
that.
of night sky,
Yeah, the one, there are lights there, which I think is for security. It's also, the building's very interesting. It has already been designed for flood control. So it has actually plates that can come right down and prevent flooding of the building.
Really?
Kind of interesting.
Oh.
So that is okay. We'll have lights coming down. Not a problem. That's what I wanted to get your guidance tonight.
Where is the position of the sign going to be?
It's gonna. Oh, excuse me. You got the.
This is the
You
existing
don't have to
building
pitch it
picture, right, okay.
There you go. So it would be over.
Oh, it'd be hanging.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
it'd be
Oh, I see.
Over, and then we'll just have the electrical comes down.
down, above, from above. it.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, and then the other one's are security. Actually, I like that look better. Just wanted to present.
So the mural that you're thinking of doing would be on which wall?
That would be on the, let's get the.
Near the
correction.
empty lot? or-
The empty lot.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought that when we are able to get some cleanup over there, on that side, we do a landscape on the side, and then a mural would be on that wall.
So how,
Is
where's the
mural
property line on
considered a
that
sign?
side?
Let's see if I surveyed, we presented the survey that,
There's a line, I mean, is this the line on the
That's what
property?
he's talking
Yeah.
about, he wants to put mural on the side of the
it
building.
might be nothing more than
That'll have to
15
be a
feet.
different thing.
Right.
It's not much.
So did you say you want to put a mural on the outside of the building?
Yeah, that's one thing we would be looking at
The lot.
on the lot.
Right. What's the process for getting something like that approved? It's, super artwork, graphic?
Oh, I don't think there's any problem with that. I remember, what's his name, Russ, he put on the side of, what's now Maeve's place, he painted that whole wall.
Okay.
Yeah, they painted all of Main
Yeah.
Street.
Yeah.
So it's
Kids-
enough for us to see it on the
Kids
plan and
painted
say,
all of
okay.
Main Street. Yeah,
Yeah.
Phoenicia Elementary is painted
Yeah.
on the front.
Yeah,
I mean, if they're putting directional arrows on it or advertising, that's
Yes.
different, but that's not.
As long as they're not painting Phoenicia Wellness over and over again.
It's some Banksy.
It's gonna have a
It's gonna be hidden in the
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, that area needs to get some plants
You said you're working with an architect?
Just as a friend, just as a friend who's one of my patients.
So I want to suggest, please talk to them about your use of the word kitchen. I think you want to call it a pantry.
Yeah, good point.
Or a lunchroom.
Or lunchroom.
Yeah, break
Or
room's another
break
good one.
room,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, whatever they had before with that they used for the bank.
Yes.
So this is retail to retail, not restaurant to retail. So is this just site plan approval, or is it also special use permit?
I mean, it's a change of use.
It's a
not-
change of use.
Yeah.
It is,
So-
even though, but both are considered retail, right? Banking.
Both are
and-
considered retail, so that
Yeah.
determines parking, basically, so they got the
Okay.
same parking requirements.
Yes.
And it worked for the bank, so. Um, So you got 6 spots back there.
Yes.
What is behind the parking area?
It's actually a space that, that is under, just basically raw, just
Are
lawn.
we ready to vote tonight?
But, it would be able to have a storage
Special use
shed.
permit, he's gotta come back for that.
Oh, that's part of the property?
Yeah, that's part of the property, so they would have enough room for that, or an
So we should
additional
recommend
parking.
that tonight.
If we needed to expand.
Okay, let's do that.
Hey, Cliff, since this is a different location, do we need to read the EAF into the minutes?
We did, I believe, when you came here last meeting.
Yes.
We did? Okay.
Didn't we-
Yeah.
For
we
this,
went over
for this,
the-
We
for this
did.
location?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
couldn't remember, thanks.
90% sure. But yes, we
Yes.
did, we do, absolutely. We do, but we did. We went over the site plan checklist last meeting.
Is there going to be a garbage area outside?
There's, right now, Sweet Sue's has their garbage in the back, the container. And, I will be talking to them to jointly use it, because we recycle everything just about. And the only thing that we, have really basically is minus 2 or 3 bags. And there's no contamination, none of that, for it. So we have ideally, we would like to just join efforts and just use the same.
And disposing of unused prescription medication, for instance?
What's that?
Disposing of unused medication,
No, that all has to be returned. And we do take back as policy, anybody's expired medications, injectables, doesn't really matter. But then I send that out to companies that handle that. So nothing gets disposed of. I just want to get it from public health out of the hands of people. And you'd be surprised when people pass away from mail order disposing, they end up bringing in tons of stuff. It's such a waste.
Do they still have the box here in town hall?
Yes.
There's a box here in town hall,
Oh.
because I've used it, because my sister was very ill,
Perfect.
and everything she had I brought here and dumped in there.
Do you want to schedule a public?
Yeah, if there's no further
Yes.
questions, I think we can.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Right? We
Okay.
good to move on? So let's, 14, thank you. Time flies. 14th at 6:45.
And this would be the public hearing.
The public hearing, yep. We just need to vote on that. Yes.
so moved. I move that we have a public hearing on this September 14th at 6:45 for the wellness.
I'll second.
Is that all in favor? You guys want to vote?
You can just, all in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank
She
you.
needs to send this to Karen.
It's on
Main Street.
Yeah, she does.
Thank you.
And I glossed over minutes approval. Did everyone have a chance to look those over from the previous meeting?
I've reviewed them.
Any comments on the minutes?
No.
Okay, then I just need a vote to approve, motion and
I
vote.
move the minutes be accepted as written.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. did a nice job capturing a lot of detail.
that was a lot, that was a long one.
Joyce
Yeah.
wanted to do it with me, so I had a lot.
Yeah, nice job, Olivia. Next is, Appleson.
I don't have to come.
Yeah, you can actually even stay, yeah.
You can stay.
Yeah. If the board has no further comments on it, I'd like a motion to approve their application as submitted.
I move that the applicant's application as submitted be approved.
Second.
That beat me to it.
Clifford Bufo,
Yes.
Art Christie, Joanne Kell,
Yes,
John Horn,
Yes.
Alan Shiner,
Yes.
Sam Spada,
Yes.
Vivian Welton.
Yes.
You're done. Okay, next order of business is the Festival of the Voice.
Good evening. Adam Turbo, architect of the Festival of Voice. You've already seen the application come before you. All we're asking to do is change the use to a permitted use in the district and to have no more than 45 people in the building. And the reason that we came to you was to submit the site plan for approval and to show you that we had handled parking. And I really appreciate all your diligence and thought about this. I do have to say that we were a little disappointed to hear that after the last meeting and we were dismissed, that some neighbors came up and tried to lobby for some other things besides what had been discussed in front of the board. And one of the things that I heard happen was that they asked for a yearly review, much like the town chamber or something else has. And what that has told me is that I think we're not coming here for a special use permit. It's not required for this lot. The use is allowed here. So all we needed was a site plan approval, which we had gone through with you and got that approval tentatively and had the public hearing. And then it started happening that there were a lot of qualifications that were being brought on to the use there. But that's usually what happens with a special use permit, not a site plan approval. So it's very strange that something like the library can be approved for the same kind of use, a cultural facility, without having to have a yearly review, without having to worry about free zoning violations, without having to worry about putting a fence up, and all of those other kind of things. And so what I would ask is, this project is beginning to die the death of 1,000 cuts. And all we want to do is have this cultural facility in the community. So I ask you to approve the site plan as presented to you with no restrictions on it whatsoever. We were happy to meet with the neighbors and be good neighbors and try to review things with them. And all they want to do, a few people in the entire Shandaken, a few people spoke out against it. And they're trying to cut it down to where it doesn't happen.
Can I speak about that yearly review? It's not yearly, it's next year. And it's actually a chance for you guys to come back and say, look, we've been good neighbors, like this is working okay, and maybe we could try and move things in your favor.
Okay, I understand that. If
Yeah.
that would be something that we could choose to do if we wanted to, because again, it's a not-for-profit. I was hired by them on a reduced fee because I wanted to do some work for the community. I'm already well over anything with that. And for them to have to come back again next year and find the money in their budget to keep coming back for reviews and doing things like that for a cultural facility for the community seems egregious.
It's just a one-time thing, Adam. It's not.
Okay,
it's
can we
not,
just have it then, if that's the review and nothing else is put in there? Because it's not a special use permit, right? It's just a site plan approval.
Well, it's a change of use.
It's a change of use, which
Yes.
according to the charter or the Shandaken Town Code says that we need a site plan approval, not a special use permit, right? Because that's something different. And that's where you start looking at the character of the neighborhood and you start looking at all these other things. Because if somebody wants to just come in and put a Dunkin' Donuts there, if they come with site plan approval, that's allowed use there too, right? So either the code has to change as it's written because it's not adequate for how it's treating each of these uses there, or we should get approval for just the site plan.
well, the fact that you're comparing the library to it, it's a little different. Nobody lives around the library.
But that doesn't matter because of the zoning.
Oh, okay.
If you wanna change that, somebody could come in and ask to change the zoning of this lot or this area and not make it Hamlet commercial. But in fact, it is Hamlet commercial, and the neighbors bought houses next to Hamlet commercial property.
And you've also got a special parking situation. I mean, it's a,
Which was the part of the problem in the
yes, and you addressed that,
And
which,
you did.
which we've acknowledged.
And I appreciate that, and that's what we're asking for approval. That's why we put it on the site plan application. That's why we put it in the change of use application. Here you go. I know this use may be problematic when there's gonna be some people there parking. So we found a way to resolve
There's,
that issue.
there's nothing additional on here that we didn't discuss when you were here last meeting.
Okay, so the
No, at the
yearly review's
workshop.
not gonna be on there. Yeah, at the workshop, there were things that were added, and they kept getting added, right? Like the 3 zoning strikes and you're out kind of thing, and then make sure you put the fence in there, and this kind of stuff, which is not on there.
You've
and-
said you would apply the fence from the
We did,
beginning.
and these were all agreements that we made in good faith with neighbors who were opposed to it, and with the other neighbors that were there to be good neighbors. But then it kept getting chopped up, right? Little bits kept taking off, and the reason why we went through that is because we wanted to be good neighbors. It shouldn't have been required because we don't need a special use permit. We just need site plan approval. You have 2 or 3 neighbors that are upset, and you have 3,000 that are happy for it. So I think we should just approve it as a site plan approval without any of the restrictions.
So you don't wanna be held to 10 performances a year?
I think any of those restrictions are egregious and out of, they don't fit anywhere in the town code. It's not a performance venue. It's just a cultural facility that has performances.
But you will have performances.
We may have performances. I can't speak to how many or what's gonna happen. I also know that the town code says, hey, after 9 o'clock, you can't make noise out of a certain decibel level.
That's
So
right.
that restriction doesn't need to be on our application because it's just part of the town code.
That limitation is to ensure that it doesn't just turn into a concert venue.
Okay.
I mean, you said you may have performance, and they said they wanna have a few small intimate gatherings, and I think everyone was fine with that. It's just making sure, we're just putting it down as an agreement that both parties agree to, the town and the applicant, that that's what's gonna happen.
Okay.
And if it goes smoothly and everybody's happy with it, then, it could become more performance days.
How about this? We agree, no restrictions. We'll come back in a year. If it's been a problem, then it can be addressed.
What if it's a problem in 2 months?
Well, if it's a problem in 2 months, I'm sure people will come and complain to the zoning officer and they'll make them do something about it, right?
They would,
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
So that's why I'm saying, you said we'll come back in a year and fix it,
So,
you know?
but why would it be a problem? Because you're allowed to do these things in that space. It's a cultural facility. It's not a special use to have a performance space or to be a hotel or anything like that, right? It's just the standard allowed use in that district on that property. And all we're asking for is to be allowed to do the thing that the law says we can do. I mean, that's part of the reason they bought the building. They looked at the law, they had lawyers look at it and said, hey, this is a permitted use here. You can be a cultural facility and do your stuff here. So when you go by what the code says and you make financial decisions based on that, you would hope that the town will back you up on this, right? Because that is what their code says.
Well, you guys bumped into stuff with, you had that farmer's market downstairs and you were asked to stop that and that didn't stop. The fence thing, you had no parking. You've sorted that out since, but this all was stuff that started out.
Okay, previous to my time,
Yes.
it's my application on this, because.
Yes, you had access, you had egress issues early on.
Correct.
These are all things that need to be addressed through
Which
this
have been
process.
addressed.
I
and
agree.
We've got it signed off by the building
I
inspector.
agree. At first you guys wanted 100 and something people in there.
Yeah,
The space doesn't allow for that with the number of exits.
exactly.
That's why the
we
49
reduced
is
it
written
and we moved all
down.
the stuff off of the site plan, absolutely.
So the limits we've got on here, starting in order, are the 10 performance days. The performances will end by 9 p.m. No more than 49 people will occupy the building at any given time. That was based on the
That's
egress.
fine, that's part of the building code anyway.
The parking agreement is tied to your permit, right? Because you have no parking otherwise. all activities on the property will abide by the regulations and the noise. If you want us to strike that, we can, because it's
I would
redundant.
actually like you to strike all of that, to be honest, because everything either has to be met because it's the law of Phoenicia and Shandaken, or what? I mean, if we violate it, then they'll come and they'll have to see you and they'll have to go before the board and things like that. But they're not planning on violating anything in there, and they're not planning on doing more than 10 performances. Well, what if it happens that they had, someone came along and said, hey, we can do this small performance for 20 people, but it happens to be the 11th performance of the year, and then they're not allowed to do it, and some funding gets pulled by a major donor to the thing because of that. And these are the kind of things that could conceivably happen because of these, honestly, very restrictive declarations that are being made for 2 neighbors. This is permitted in the zoning district. It's a permitted use as of right.
All right, well, the parking thing, that's part of this, that has to stay.
Absolutely. I'm asking for the site plan approval, Cliff. I'm not saying don't approve the site plan. Here's the site plan, has the parking stuff, it even
Yes.
says we're gonna do 49 people, has it all on there. Let's approve that as it's written. That's totally fine. We don't need a special use permit. Once you approve that site plan, you don't even have to deal with the special use, because we can go back to the building inspector and say, it's been approved, and you can give us our CF.
The fence is a site element. Would you include the fence on that site plan approval?
Does it have to be there?
We've talked about it a lot.
We did talk about it, but it was one of the things that got added in as one of the cuts that's gonna take down this project. I mean,
So you wanna begin your life in this new cultural facility at odds with the neighbors?
I would like for the organization to begin their existence there as a good member of the community, which they are trying to do. And they tried to come to an agreement separately with them, knowing we didn't need a special use permit, knowing we only needed site plan approval. So we said, hey, we're gonna go for the public hearing for site plan approval. They might be a little bit upset about the number of performances or something. So let's go talk to them, right? So they went to talk to them, and they came to an agreement about 10 performances, and they had a lawyer
That actually
draft it up.
came from you guys.
Right.
That number came from you guys.
Well, the number came from
It came to us from you guys.
Yes, no, that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
No, they had a discussion with them, and they came to an agreement about 10 performance days a year. So then they had a lawyer draft up a neighborly agreement for them and said, hey, we're happy to sign this if this looks good to you. But no, they wanted to come here and fight it completely and try to shut it down.
That's a really different narrative than what happened.
I'm sorry, I'm talking, you weren't addressed. Because this is another thing that keeps happening here, is that people speak up when they're not supposed to, or they come and talk to you after the time when it's supposed to be a public hearing, and that also doesn't seem fair, right? I feel like, as a professional, it's very difficult to do business here, because I read the code, I say, this is what it says, we're gonna go in, we even come talk to you about it, and then it becomes this huge thing when it's not even something related to what we're doing, right? We don't need a special use permit.
So everything that is listed there is in the code except 1 or 2 things, right?
Except the 10 performance days a year and the fence, and and 3 strikes and you come to the review. Pretty much. Which seems a bit, it's like you're punishing them without
Well,
trying
it's
to
not
do
really
something.
that. I mean, if you have 3 things that happen, and people are gonna come to us.
Yeah, I know, is that in the code?
And then we're gonna have to call
If
you.
it's in the code, I think it should be in the code. If we have 3 legitimate zoning violations for anybody, they should have to come in front of you in here. I mean, that sounds reasonable to me, but it doesn't sound fair to, pick on the Festival of the Voice for that.
But it's not like we've never put conditions in other people's
But for a
permits.
special use permit, right? Not for a
No,
site
no,
plan.
any permit.
But it's not a permit, it's a site plan approval, right? That's what I need from you. I don't need a special use permit.
Right, but we have had other things that were site plan that we put a condition on.
Right, and we actually aren't changing our site at all, except to put a sign up and take a garage down. I mean, there's minimal work. It's no work, really. It should have been the kind of thing that didn't even need a public hearing, to be honest. But
It all-
does say
it all
that-
needs a public
I know,
hearing.
but in the code, it does say you need a public hearing.
Yes.
So we were like, fine, let's do a public hearing. But in the code, it also says it doesn't require a special use permit, and yet it seems like that's what you're trying to push on us.
So why all of a sudden now this turnaround from you when the
The f-
last time we
the
spoke
fence
with you,
came- all this stuff came
everything
from
was
you guys.
fine?
No, they did not come from us. They came.
Except for the yearly.
No, that and the fence and the 3 strikes and the 90 days for the fence and all of this started to come from them at the workshop when I was here. But I didn't have the festival people to say, hey, this is what we're doing, because it was just supposed to be a workshop where you were talking about the language of the things we had agreed to before. And instead, more stuff got added to it, right? So this procedure made it very difficult for us to mount a defense right immediately. So after I went back and then I heard there was discussion about other things, I was like, well, that's weird because that's only for a special use permit, according to the code. 11639, I think 38. Anyway, that's why I'm coming here now. You know, we were happy to accept it where we left it a month ago, but then other stuff kept getting added to it, and we're starting to get really worried that it will die the death of 1,000 cuts. They don't have any money. It's a not-for-profit, right? We cut down the site plan partially because people were like, well, that's a lot going on, but also because they didn't have the money to do that work, right? They barely had the money to put together to change the lock or the exit signs on the doors to make it fire safe, you know? And I just think it's not fair for the board to ask this organization to do things that really just aren't in the code.
Do you not want to do them, or do you just think it's not fair?
I think it's not fair.
Okay, but you
And-
would like to do it,
Do what?
whatever you're talking about. If it wasn't, it's because you're just.
Yeah,
fighting.
they had an agreement, independent of the board, that they were willing to sign with the neighbors to work through. And then however they wanted to enforce that was up to them, but it didn't have anything to do with the town code or anything like that. And we were happy to do that with them, and that's where we were before the public hearing last time. And then the public hearing happened, and they didn't want to sign it, and then we came to some agreement in front of you, right? And we said, okay, we agree to that. Then you said, well, the language is a little complicated, so we want to handle it at the workshop. And we came to the workshop, and some other people started speaking up about more things that they wanted. And then, I had to.
What do you think got added at the workshop?
Right,
What
because,
got added at the workshop? The zoning, the fence.
but I
right?
thought the fence was from before.
The fence is from before.
No,
It was from
it
before.
We've been talking about that fence for a while.
It's not on the site plan though, right? Right. But I guess my point is, we were happy before something got added, anything got added. But all it did was to show us that the process is broken. That you're asking us for a lot of things for an as-of-right use for a property. When in fact, the whole reason a zoning code is written with uses and special uses and not permitted is for this. Because you should be able to look at it when you're buying a property and say, I can use it for that.
Well, you have to realize too that the parking, if you lose that parking, your permit's revoked. That's one of the conditions.
Okay? Site
You
plan
want-
revoked, and we'll
but
have to
you
come
want-
back in for it.
But you want us to just
That-
erase everything from there and let
Erase
you,
it? What do you mean?
yeah, like, not put any of these restrictions on you.
I
That's
think-
one of them.
I don't think, no, I didn't say that. Parking should be on there. That's about site plan approval. That's about how you're gonna use the space and the site handling.
Yes.
And we found a way to do that, and that's why we came to you.
Right.
Because we knew that was gonna be an issue. I mean, it's Phoenicia, there's no parking. But we went and we found a way to do it.
So can you tell us, of these items, which ones you consider legitimate?
The parking,
3 and 4, 49 people, because that's code.
right, that's
And the
code.
parking.
And the parking,
The rest are operational restrictions.
exactly.
But we put operational restrictions on.
Yeah.
On special use permits though, right?
The relics were, they're not special use permit.
We
But
have
they
site
got the-
plan approval for the bill, yeah, 'cause
Right,
that
but
was
they
on
got it
county,
from
that
the
was on
county.
county property.
But we put restrictions on them. What time they could run, what days they could run, how long they could run.
Didn't need
Yeah,
special
the-
use there?
No,
That's strange, right?
It was-
It's not in
it-
the
it's-
code that you could do that.
It's very strange. 'cause
it's very
county.
strange because the
Yes.
county is involved.
All right, the
There was
fence,
a lot
the
we
fence
couldn't
is
do.
a site issue. The 3 strikes thing, that's enforcement, so we can leave that separately as enforcement. The parking has to stay on. The performance days, if you start having performances every weekend, you are changing the character of that, and that absolutely would be special use permit territory.
Yes.
I will agree with that once cultural facility is fully defined in the zoning code, because I don't think that's the case. It's not a performance facility, even if you put a performance on every day. It's like an art museum that might have a small concert or a lecture every day. That's still a cultural facility. So I would disagree with that until we can see it written down in the code.
The parts of the code are ambiguous.
Exactly.
Yes, that's for this process to take place. That's
Right.
why it's like that.
And that's what I'm saying.
And
but
that's
it's-
why we're here.
But I'm saying a performance space is something that's their dedicated performance. You're setting it up for audiences all the time, sound system, lights, and that kind of stuff, or film projectors, whatever.
We're
There's
trying
none of that in here.
to prevent that from being
That's
created.
not happening. That's not happening. Plus, at 9 o'clock, all the noise has to stop by town code, right? Unless you got a special use permit or some kind of dispensation from this board. But we're not asking for that. We're happy to.
So the items that are subject to enforcement that's already on the books elsewhere is number 2, performances end by 9 PM, because that's really intended to prevent noise.
It's about noise.
Yeah.
So we don't need that
We didn't
because
say,
we have it elsewhere.
we're not saying people have to clear out by
Right.
9, we're saying you can't be
Noise
having.
has to-
All
loud
activities
performances.
will abide by regulations. That again does not have to be stated, that's number 5. Because that doesn't have to be stated, because you have to obey the law, right? Number 6 is the 2 times a year thing, again, that's an enforcement issue. And a meeting between the planning board and the applicant be held 1 year. Well, nothing to stop the community from coming back here and demanding a meeting, which it would be foolish of the festival not to attend.
Exactly.
So that could be taken off, because it's entirely within the community's hands to come and say, we wanna have a conversation about what's going on.
Exactly.
So that's number 8.
If there's no language putting a statute on it, Sam, then there's nothing we can do.
Right.
If it's granted forever.
Right.
So we can't go back and say, we changed our minds.
Regarding,
Regarding some, like if they say they're not trying to turn it into a concert facility, and then they do, and we gave them a permit for it, then it's over.
But if it becomes a concert facility, then you can come and say, you changed use without asking. We gotta shut down and you gotta go
Right.
through this whole process.
Exactly.
Okay, so where are we calling that line? I mean,
Yeah.
again, 10 was the number that you guys came to us with.
What line, like how many?
How many
performances?
performances?
Yeah.
How about 10 a month? No more than that.
10 a month.
No more than 10 a month.
How would you fit them in a month?
You wouldn't. This is all ridiculous, to be honest.
You could fit 8,
8, let's do 8.
2 each
All right.
weekend.
8 a month.
No, I'm not agreeing to
No, I think it's a
I'm
good
just
idea.
saying you
Eight
could
a
do
month.
that.
This way it's
Right.
pretty much limited to weekends for the most part, right?
No, that's
No.
too many.
so we're,
It's too many.
so I'm keeping score. What I'm hearing is that there's on the table, a suggestion, an offering, that item 1, 8 a month. Item 2 is stricken. We have other codes. 3 and 4 are pertinent to the plan approval, so they stay. 5 is enforcement, it's stricken. 6 is enforcement, it's stricken. 8 is enforcement, non-enforcement. 8 is up to the community. If they wanna come back up next month, next year, they can do that. Nothing can stop them.
And you'll be coming back here.
The one we
Every month.
haven't discussed is 7, if there's any compromise on that. So 7 is the fence.
I think they're willing to put the fence in because they want to be good neighbors. I don't know if they can get it done in 90 days.
The date thing was just, we can
So it's the
be
timing.
flexible on that.
Yeah.
The
Take
time-
that
we can
date out.
extend
Will
that.
be
That was
erected,
just-
period.
Right.
We've had things go, they're gonna do it, and then suddenly it's 5 years later and it's still not done, so we need something.
Fair enough.
6 months for a fence? 6 months, okay.
So 1 is amended, 2 is stricken, 3 and 4 stay as written, 5 is stricken, 6 is stricken, 7 is 6 months, and 8 is stricken. I'd have no problem with that.
We can strike 8 if we can define 1.
Cliff,
I think 8.
community can come and call a meeting anytime they want. They're doing it for Rail Explorers. If they're unhappy, they can come to us. They can come to the town board. They're elected officials.
Yeah, we're limited on what we can do after this though, Sam.
I agree.
Yeah.
All right, what about 25 performance days, and you come back in a year, and if everybody's happy with it, then you can ask for your 8 a month.
How about 50 performances for the year
Oh,
and
this
not
is-
come back in a year? I mean, I'm just trying to be realistic. They're not gonna do that many performances. It's not gonna turn into that space. But to hamstring a small organization, if they happen to overlap on the year and they had this great little festival going and they could put on all these daytime performances to raise money, why would we stop that? They're not gonna put on concerts. They have 2 people working for them full time who try to put on a huge festival every year. There's not a lot of time to do other stuff. It just kind of comes up, right? And to hamstring somebody from doing that, it just doesn't seem right.
Nobody comes up here and applies and says, I don't care about my neighbors, I'm gonna do what I want.
Yeah.
Everyone says.
That's what you're saying.
Everyone says they're gonna be good
That's not what we're
neighbors.
saying. We tried to work with them. They just, every time we came and said, okay, we'll do that, they're like, no, we're not signing that. Or how about 10? Like, and then they come up to you and try to get 3 or 5 afterwards. I mean, look,
I hear that he's asking for a stricter interpretation of the law, that they've got an as of right use here, that it's a site plan approval. That's what I'm hearing. And frankly, this is a cultural institution that another town would kill to have.
This is not the Festival of the Voice now. This is something different. This is separate from that.
How do you really tease them apart?
Well,
And why does it say Festival of the Voice on every piece of paper we've had?
well, it's really not. It's called the 24 Main Performing Arts Center.
Okay.
That's what it's called.
It's not what it says on our agenda, so
Wow.
clearly, Joanne, this is the kind of thing that in people's minds, it's one and the same. And any town would love to have the Festival of the Voice.
I mean, at 8 concerts a month, it's a performance center.
Yes.
Then it's a
I'm
concert
not
hall.
saying we're having 8.
But you're asking for 8.
I'm saying that would be the maximum. I'm not saying I wanna have 8. I'm just saying if I have 8,
You're asking for permission to be a concert hall.
I'm asking for show. I think a concert hall is something completely different. If the library had a folk player in the backyard every Saturday and Sunday, is that a concert hall?
We would never do that.
I'm not asking you, I'm asking them.
It would be something that would come before us if it became a problem.
Right, thank you.
But they never asked to have any performances.
Yeah, but they do, right?
We do
No.
not.
Yeah, you have.
What if we put the 1
I've
year
been
in
to
there
them.
and see what happens after 1 year?
Just let it go for a year and see what
Yeah,
happens.
Exactly, let them come back in 1 year. Let them have whatever they want, let them come back and we'll see.
I
Put
think we
that
should
in.
table this part. It's like to be discussed.
You wanna
Because now
discuss
this
it
is a
more?
complete
It's not any
360
It's
degree
really
turn.
not any different. There's the.
But
you're
your whole
describing-
attitude has changed. Everything has changed.
But my attitude
I
should have
didn't
nothing.
ex-
Attitude has
I-
nothing to do with it.
All right,
That's
but-
We all
my
need to
attitude
take
is
the
just
breath.
frustration at that code
But
says
no,
one
but I'm
thing.
trying to figure out what it is that changed this from the last meeting. That's what I'm
Yeah,
trying
we
to
had-
figure out.
We had
Neighbors.
come to an agreement.
We had come to an agreement,
Right.
and then they spoke up afterwards last time and tried to change the agreement. And so we're just coming back and asking for what's legally right. Because we were happy to go above and beyond that with them, but they were not happy to take it.
So-
I'm gonna
It's the way to go,
approve it.
yeah. And so we're coming to ask you to do the right thing.
There's no restrictions.
Yeah, we're not gonna
Tell them that.
I think we should approve it with no restrictions, let them come back within 1 year, and if there's a whole problem, then we can deal with it. I mean, they wanna,
You're over here.
I could live with that.
That's what's gonna happen.
Can we speak?
Hang on.
Our library
go
Oh,
ahead.
of course, yes, you have a right.
Yeah, speak.
Could you please take that mask off? I can't understand
hear.
one word.
We're used to mic, maybe?
I'm indoors in 2.5 years. I'm a school teacher. I will try to.
Well, that's better.
Have you all been to J Street? Do you know how close we are to this venue?
Yes.
Yes.
We are literally on top of the venue. They're literally in our backyard. They're not having a performance venue in their backyards, they're having it in ours. I mean, when you approve unlimited, 8 a month, 50, whatever you're talking about, the impact on our lives is gonna be incredibly bad. It's just like, and these people have shown they do not honor agreements with their own people over the years.
So,
It's
the,
just-
he was trying to say, oh, we went to them. They never came to us. We got word that there was something brewing at the town hall, and we had to come and ask for the site plan. They never came to us. I personally felt that it was better to speak directly to them so that we didn't have a public negative back and forth. And so I felt like we gave them that opportunity. We came up with what felt like a good compromise, 10 performances per year, maybe something about the fence. And we kept saying, you have to put that in your site plan because we knew otherwise it can't be enforced. When it was a few days before the meeting, they said, oh, we're not gonna put in the site plan. Here's something our lawyer drew up and we'll sign with you personally. And they said this is not worth anything because there's no way to enforce it. I can't enforce an agreement. This belongs in front of the town. We did not want to come here out of contentious situation at all. Believe me, we have not felt like they've dealt fairly with us or directly, And the key point is, if you go over 10 per year, you're approving a performance venue. We all know they're a performance organization. They're trying to use a loophole of the cultural venue, which is murky for them qualifying for, so they can do their performances. If you approve this and you're violating, if they can just do whatever they want, and we know they're gonna do so many performances, that's
And rent it
violating.
out to someone else. I
And
mean,
that's-
they've already talked about that. They've already agreed to rent the space out to other people.
That's violating the code, because that's a performance venue, which requires a special permit. Look,
This is our homes.
these are our homes, this is really all we have financially. Us standing here, this is not the middle of town, this is in a quiet neighborhood. We're fine with 10 performances a year. That feels like fair, and whatever other cultural activities they wanna do. They've done some good stuff with the farmer's market, that worked great. So it's a plus. Has to do with the size. So we beg you to put this restriction. Otherwise, we know what they're gonna do.
You can't.
Can I ask you 2 questions?
Sure.
So, have people trespassed onto your property when they've had functions, or,
Yes, yeah.
and you're to the right, the left, I'm
We're
facing,
Do you know J Street?
yeah?
It goes around and over the.
We're the house directly behind the church and the house. There's a lot there. It's our yard.
I don't understand if they're like, well, we're really not gonna do that much, but can we have 50 permitted here? It's like on one side, we're too poor to do anything. The other side, we have to have 50. It's very contradictory. We feel like they haven't dealt with me. We did not want it to come to
We tried.
unpleasant debate in front of you and bringing up what past things have happened and why we feel that conditions need to be put in because of how
mean, if we give them no restrictions, it's a concert hall, and that's not what they applied for.
Is a concert hall in our code? We are limited by what our code says.
I agree.
First of all, I would table this whole thing for
And
discussion.
if somebody's a bad neighbor,
Have we tabled
he
it?
comes to the planning board about that.
Yeah.
Not really, unless we have you come in here and review the whole situation.
Yeah.
But then it's permanent after that. Right. Enforcement authority. So council hall is not. Well, if we can make it unlimited, if he wants to go for a special use permit.
That's what's gonna happen.
So can we table this and
Absolutely,
discuss it another time?
that's right, please further review.
And we have to review it. We thought there was an agreement.
Right.
No, there was not, so we have to table it, talk amongst ourselves to make sure we do the right thing.
Here you may be possibly tabling it. Before you do, we would agree to the 10 performance days a year. That would be okay. The whole point was not that we're gonna do more than that, just that the law says that there's really nothing here that says there should be a restriction on performances in the site plan.
Well, we realize what you're saying, you looked into it, you looked everything up, but I think that it really needs more review now, that
Well,
because
let's-
everything changed.
Let's see where we're at. Let's see where we're at now.
He's doing 10, yeah.
So he's saying, okay to number 1,
Okay,
okay to number 3, okay to number 4. The others are enforcement. The fence, if it's not a site plan, if the site plan doesn't require them to provide a fence, it sounds like it's a neighbor dispute.
Well, I mean, a site plan, a fence is absolutely a site plan issue. We've definitely required.
When people want to put up a fence, it becomes a site plan issue because there's limitations to what you can put up. But I'm not aware of a code
Screening.
that says that we have to insist that you put up a fence.
No, we don't have to,
yeah,
Right.
no.
Again, this is a neighbor-to-neighbor thing.
but it's screening and it's something we require to protect the neighbors. And that's part of our job.
But you were okay with 6 months, the problem was timing. All right, so then we're okay for 1, 3, 4, and 7 in the draft.
Yeah, and construction's crazy. You know, you've got a contract with the guy, he hasn't shown up, you know, we're not.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I would support a rewriting of this limited to those,
Based on what we just
Resolution?
discussed.
yeah.
Yeah, that would be fine.
Thank you very much.
Well,
All right, so just so we're in agreement, 1 stays, 2 is gone, because the noise ordinance covers that. So if you can sing quietly. No more than 49 people will occupy the church building at any given time. That's part of the code. The parking agreement. Should the parking agreement between the Phoenicia Festival of the Voice and St. Francis de Sales be revoked, the site plan approval would be revoked until such a time as the Phoenicia Festival of the Voice could provide an amended site plan showing an acceptable parking option. We're striking 5, which is reiterating the noise ordinance. We're striking 6, which is the 3 strikes. 7, the fence we're keeping but extending to 6 months, or if they can at least show, reasonable progress.
Right, and good faith.
In good faith. And then, number 8,
Is stricken, because the community could always insist on a meeting at any time.
I think number 8 we should leave, because they're entering into this agreement with a 10-day limit, and I do think they should have a chance to come back before us and request to extend that if they are being good neighbors. So this is the meeting, Adam, is only in relation to this stuff. It's not broader in scope. It's not, if anyone's,
So only those about the restrictions.
it's about the restrictions, yes. Yes.
Again, he does not, the Festival of Voice does not need that in this memorials, in this document to come back and say, I wanna make a change. It doesn't, we don't have to write it down. Anybody, they can
If
come
you
to
want
us, the
if
community
you'd
can
rather
come to
leave
us.
it open and come as an amendment to the site plan, is that how you'd rather have it?
Yes, please.
Okay, we can do that, I can live with that.
So what are we agreeing on, 8?
So we're striking 8, if they
Okay.
wanna extend it, they'll ask for that.
So I would move that we accept these.
I second.
Alright, let me read it in its entirety first
Some of
before we
the-
vote on it.
Some of that's not, the resolution number and stuff like that's not gonna end up. I would just vote for the approval and read the conditions that you want, cause some of that, like I'm missing dates, that's just a draft.
I gotcha, understood. Alright, so the motion on the table is to approve with the following conditions. The Phoenicia Festival of the Voice will have no more than 10 performance days per year. No more than 49 people will occupy the church building at any given time, including the areas in the basement. Should the parking agreement between Phoenicia Festival of the Voice and St. Francis de Sales be revoked, the site plan approval would be revoked until such a time as the Phoenicia Festival of the Voice could provide an amended site plan showing an acceptable parking option. A fence between the Phoenicia Festival of the Voice property and the abutting property at 8 to 10 J Street will be erected within 6 months of the approval, or show good faith progress. Yes? Yes? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Did she get a second?
Yeah, I thought there was a second. I thought it was Adam
Moved, second.
and
Second.
Alan.
Clifford Bufo,
Yes?
Art Christie, Joanne Cow,
Yes,
John Horn,
Yes.
Alan Shiner,
Yes.
Sam Spada,
Yes.
Vivian Welton.
Recused.
You can't.
I'm participating as a volunteer with the festival.
That's fair.
oh,
Okay. Thank you.
The minute he saw we were kicking the can down the road, he
Yes.
backed out of it.
how are you, Jesse?
Good, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you. He's very good, thanks.
Tell him I sent him a manly hug.
I will.
How you doing?
This is a manly hug.
That's it. It's good to see you. You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay. I understand there are some people here for the Rail Explorers. This is,
We go from
this is not a public hearing on the Rail Explorers for or against. This board has really done all it can do with regards to that. This is an issue that needs to be taken up with the town board or the county at this point. It's exceeded our authority to do anything. So I understand your plight. I'm sympathetic, but
That's what everybody wants to speak about.
So I thought at one point, we were going to set up a meeting between the rail explorers, the county and us.
They tried to get the county to come down.
I personally called the county and offered that and did not receive a response.
And we haven't received a response from anything we've emailed or sent them either.
To the county?
Correct.
Yeah.
It's on county
I
property.
actually came because I was gonna talk about the meeting, 12/8 last year, where the rail bikes, owners were here, we were here, and all of you were here, and we talked about some things. That was just gonna be my focus. I hear what you're saying, and sometimes we are confused about going between the town board and the planning board, and it's been hard to get clarification. So you had a lot to say last year. That's why we came to you.
we were facilitating a conversation. That's all our role ever was in that, and it seemed like everything was progressing nicely until it wasn't anymore.
Yeah, nothing has happened this summer, so none of this.
Yeah, they were, it seemed like people were moving in the same direction together, and then at some point, I don't know if something took place, separately, but they stopped. They were gonna cut back on the tours. We told them they had to tell us where the lights were gonna go, and they nixed that and just went back to the same thing
What they
they've
were
been
doing.
doing.
I mean, that unfortunately took away any of our ability to talk about our issues because we
Can you come a little closer? I wanna make sure I hear you.
Yeah, we all became hyper-focused on the night runs, knowing that it didn't benefit us in terms of talking about our neighborhoods. So, you know, you've gotten emails from me, you know, I reached out to Pat Ryan now. Dennis Doyle really does not seem to want to be talking to us, and, we're at a place of like a breaking point, for real. And, you know, just like what they said, it's our homes, and so people get very emotional about that. And so expecting a company that at this point is probably a multi-million-dollar company to do some things to make us happy and to see that it's not happening. So I know, it's not fun to keep writing letters and to keep coming here, honestly, and we don't like to do this to you. And I have seen some care from both boards towards us, but at the same time, knowing that the county has all the power. And so we don't feel that the county's necessarily going to listen to us as individuals unless we have the town of Shandaken speaking up for us.
And county legislators, there are other elected officials that the planning board reports to. They are hired functionaries of the Ulster County government. They can enforce laws, but this is contractual, and I think there's other ways to put pressure on them. But I would ask, you know, do you all know what you want?
Yes, yes.
What do you want?
We want synthetic wheels put on the bikes. There are numerous rail bike companies.
Yep,
around the
seen
country.
those? Mm-hmm.
They've stated they're doing that repeatedly in front of this
Oh,
board.
yeah.
But no, what do you want?
So also, we think that these 8 o'clock runs, so their last runs, they go by my house around 8 o'clock at night. 7 days a week. So I drove down Route 28 the other day.
So what do you want?
So I would like, that they don't do those night runs, except maybe Friday and Saturday night, right? We all have to compromise. Then they can do their 6:30 run that ends at 8:30. They also do an 8:30 run 7 days a week past their neighborhoods. Maybe Monday through Thursday, they don't do the 8:30 run because we're sleeping, we're going to work.
All right, so the quiet wheels and reconsideration of when they do runs. What else did you want?
I mean, ideally, I know that this is a lot to ask, but it would be nice to have a day off in the summer. They run 7 days a week for 2 months plus, and last year they ran 7 days a week all the way through the end of the season. Right now, their schedule is not booked for Tuesday and Wednesday, but they made it clear when they handed you that plan for the night runs that they could add them on at will.
Right.
If they have the demand, which they did last year. So if we have little less runs, the quiet to the wheels would be everything. Maybe some more bushes planted. My poor neighbor Sue, the fence does not reach her property. We see them coming, we see them going. These are things that we could maybe live with. If their contracts can be renewed, it's another 5 years. And if there's nothing done, we're gonna have to lawyer up because we can't take it. I'm at an emotional, I
Right.
wanna stand there and yell at
So I
them. It's
got
not good.
quiet wheels, fewer runs, planting. And did you want also some noise abatement? Because you put up walls.
We have to sign another contract, we can't even stop.
But no, I'm using a technical term. Is noise abatement what you would want?
What are we gonna do about it? Why?
I just want to know.
Oh. Yeah, but this gives them false hope.
No, I'm not giving anybody false hope.
I saw the video. I saw the video, I heard them. Oh, you're talking about the ones.
The synthetic wheels, they make what it is. Not a plank.
We all agree.
thought they said when they were here
We
they
all
ordered
agree
them
that you have a
and
legitimate
They came
complaint.
from
That's why we
Germany, they were
listen.
still trying to install
That's
them.
what I was bringing today, because they.
That's why I'm asking, what did you want? So I got 4 things.
I know.
That's why I didn't, yeah.
Is there anybody, you know, I would really strongly recommend that you get somebody from the town board, create a committee, because I think you had an opportunity when they were willing to compromise, and everybody conflated things. The lights with the night runs. I mean, they were offering to do a shorter run on 2 nights, and we scared them off.
Okay, can I explain to you?
They were adding a run, they were adding a run, Sam, at nights.
They're only going
We
to
just-
take away
yeah.
2 runs a week from us, and that was Friday and Saturday night. In exchange, they were gonna run, bikes up and down 28 until almost midnight with lights. I care about 28 in our, you know, so.
Again, you can, all I'm saying is that I think you need to get some leadership. You might want to get an attorney, because again, you're conflating pieces that I think if you take them apart, there might have been a way to get to a better place with them.
So
But what happened was they just got scared away. Oh, these people don't want to compromise.
Can I explain to you the emails?
That's
that-
my impression.
So the things that I gave you were from my exchanges with Rail Explorers and Chris White from the county board in 2019. They were forced to build the fence. They were unhappy about it. They stated they would never build another fence again. At the end of that year, I got an email that I received as a threat that I had to cut down a tree that was threatening their properties and their riders. So I personally am afraid to talk to them directly.
To the county.
No, to
So
Rail
where
Explorers.
else would you think they're
Because
gonna be,
they
they're gonna?
have shown themselves to us in a
I don't think you should
different way.
talk to them directly.
Yeah.
And now they've put out a letter to all businesses
Does that rail run
saying to
on their
rally up
property,
with them. and
or is that a separate property?
Which is their right
I
to
know
do.
that friend of mine down
It runs in front of their property, no?
I mean,
in
you-
Woodland Valley,
That wasn't our
the rails are on.
Our intention
No, it's on-
was
it's all
just
county
wind
property.
down the bikes, and they must know about these wheels.
We talked about it.
As Cliff said, this is not something that we have power over, but I do think you need elected officials to get a group together, start thinking about how you get to the goals that you want. You may need to get an attorney, but I think if you're clear about what you want, I mean, you could ask for more. Why don't you ask for a rebate on your county taxes? The county's benefiting from
I mean,
this.
they're making money from this.
Right.
Why don't you ask for money?
Can I just say what they said last year, and I think you should go back and listen to that. They said that the noise they felt was from the tracks, which we really don't agree with. And Alex said it would cost $50,000, it may not fully work, and it would be a long-term.
Was that the
plan.
welding of the track?
Yeah, and we just think that it's the metal wheel on the metal tracks. Then they said that they had a manufacturer who had aluminum wheels with urethane coating, and it doesn't work on the front wheels because then the bikes are uneven and could fall in the esophagus. But they said they already were in the process of ordering enough wheels to run on the rear part of the bike. We've not seen anything like that done. And also Sarah last year, who worked here,
installing them.
she talked about the noise ordinance, and because Dennis Doyle said, they said 7 to 9 at night. Sarah spoke up and said in Shandaken, it's 7 o'clock PM in a residential zone, not 9 PM, but they said, well, we're going by the county, Ulster County noise ordinance. So that's another thing that I wonder about. You know, Tuesday, Wednesday night, everything's closed down here, and they're going, and I can hear it from every room in my house, and we also think that, yeah, our property values have gone down. And if I have to show my house to someone to sell, and it's there in the summer, and they see them going by, so it's a relentless, hardship on us.
Well, they can't really say it's the Ulster County noise ordinance. We have home rule in
Yes,
Shandaken.
we
well,
don't.
and we're talking about Shandaken properties, the noise is interfering.
Right.
I didn't say anything about noise.
Yeah.
No, I didn't say that. I'm just saying that
I
that's,
think
That's not true.
I
what
think
they
you're
said.
in the wrong
Yes.
place.
Right.
We're only
Yes.
giving you our personal opinions.
Right.
We have no jurisdiction.
We don't want to give you
Over the
false hope
tracks.
with this tonight
Right.
here.
So you're saying there's a board we should go to?
you should go to the town board.
Go to the
We did,
go to the
we did last
supervisor.
Yep.
We did.
Go to the county. Go camp out. Sit on his door. Call an
We
attorney.
can't enforce anything on Ulster County's property.
Right.
And we just try to bring
Our
people
approval
together.
was their buildings on the town of Shandaken.
And we don't make any laws. The town board does. So if you're looking for any kind of a change, the town board would have to fight for you.
Well, and Peter said that he would go to the contract meetings, but the thing is I feel like the county, especially under Dennis Doyle, is just.
They'll listen to the town. They'll listen to the
contract
town
meetings will
if
be too
you can
late.
get Peter to go.
You
That would
gotta get organized
I know.
and get this into the request for proposals. The RFP's gotta ask for this. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Speaking of the town board, I'm Mark. They're absolutely correct. Please come out to the town board meeting. I know you've done it, I've seen you. I can tell you Peter does plan on going and doing what he said, but Sam gave a very valuable advice tonight. A very simple, clear, concise list. The county, people, they're moving sewer
York State,
I understand.
I'm not familiar with the laws, but little that I know New York State, county contracting is very strictly controlled. There will be ways where you could put a stick in their spokes there in the contractual process, but you gotta deal with it before the RFP.
Yeah. Well, you know, we appreciate, what is the RFP?
The request for
For
proposals,
proposals.
they're gonna go back, because they have to go out to public bid this again.
Dennis Doyle, I quote him, said, it's not in the county's interest to issue another RFP.
Well, it depends, so perhaps they've got the right of first refusal in the agreement they already have. Now we're getting into contracts, that's where we need attorneys.
Right. So if you have time and wanna watch that, planning board meeting of you guys, it was on 12/80. We appreciate you talking with us honestly, and, it's not an easy job to have, and, you know, I appreciate it, and I think there's a strong feeling growing in the community that we wanna try to protect, our peace here, and that sometimes it feels like there's so much focus on promoting the Catskills that we're losing our ability to preserve it, and we have to find a balance. And I think a lot of people here would start elsewhere feeling like we're losing the balance. And I do believe it's the county that needs to start hearing us, not just the towns. So, you know, maybe we can start a movement and get there.
You're right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, since I know nobody has anything else, right? Nobody has anything else, we're
Oh,
gonna
are
adjourn.
you saying that?
I'm telling you.
You're telling us there's nothing else? So,
I have something else.
Oh,
I will have to miss the workshop meeting. I'm going down to the Jersey Shore, taking my partner to the beach for vacation, which he deserves, so
oh, nice.
sorry, but I just wanted to let you know ahead of time.
You won't be here.
Can we
Enjoy
help
your
you, sir?
vacation.
no, just observing,
Glutton for punishment.
not for punishment like we are?
Well, I don't know any of the applicants, so I was just curious to follow along on the progression.
Need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Aye.
She's supposed to say all in favor first. You don't wanna get out of here too fast, do you? Gee,
Yeah, right, you take her job away, Peter. I don't want to say it.
you sure don't mind?
If anybody wants my job. Murder-suicide pact.
It would be, let me tell you.
Thank you, Olivia, for the detailed minutes.
Yes, they're very good.
Thanks for the detailed proposal that we rewrote 12 times.
I'll do it. You don't want me to anymore.
So we're adjourned?
A bit arrogant.
He was arrogant, so.
Yeah. But how come he gave
He's
right
as
in?
bad as the guy who told me a water truck should run me over and kill me when they were trying to put a water plant in. You might as well have said that to me.
Grace, tell her.
When they were trying to put the ponds in.
What do you got for me,
Thank you for
Years
putting that
ago.
together.
Howie McGowan said it.
Good work, Cliff.
Oh,
It's
Howard
not
said
an
it?
easy
What
one.
is this that fell down over here?
That was in the
That was
Grace.
from them, Alex Boyd.
That was in the Freeman
Oh,
today.
Yeah, thank you for that, John.
Not the chart, the number.
How's my Judy?
See y'all.
Hi, Judy.
She's getting there.
Good, good.
So who does this go to?
Where'd Sam go over
You see, as soon as he heard him say, table it.
Right.
He jumped right up.
Jumped right up and gave in.
Because I would have tabled it. I don't care. We would have had to discuss it. I said I would have made them table it, and for another time, they have to come back again. Because they just begin.
On the both sides, I don't know.
Yeah, I know, it's,
He contributed half of the 1,000 cuts.
I know, he did, for sure.
I don't know why they agreed to